Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Ion Canon podcast, your home for in-depth discussion on the lore, the narrative, and the big ideas of the galaxy far, far away. My name is Matthew. I'm coming to you from Underworld North Studios in Toronto. As always, I'm joined from across the continent by your friend of mine, Mr. Joel Davis. Joel, how are you doing this week?
I'm doing good. I feel like I should have said that because I've been using that monologue as part of my school project for my voice and dictation
There we go.
class that I've been taking.
There we go. So you'll get it next time. There we go. You can do it next time. I'm gonna switch over a little bit. We're talking about New York Comic Con. So who better to talk about New York Comic Con than a real New Yorker? My friend Ash. How's it going, Ash?
It's going all right. Hanging in here. Hoping the force is with me a little more than it has been.
There we go. There we go. You were supposed to come on Wednesday under the weather, sounding a bit like a certain Secretary of Health or something like that. So there we go. But you're here tonight. We're going to talk about books mostly and just the con experience generally, because we're also talking about cosplay and novels and source books and how Lucasfilm Publishing is embracing the sequel era once more, and maybe what insights we can glean from the Mandalorian Visual Guide. Also, what it's like to be interviewed for StarWars.com. We'll get into that and more as we round out our network's coverage of New York Comic Con 2025. Get to some plugs out of the way. You can follow us on Blue Sky at Ion Canon, ioncanon.biscuit.social, as I like to say. And if you want all the lowdown on Instagram and Twitter and Threads and all that, go to at the SW. That's where we're sending folks. Also, if you prefer to listen to this on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your audio, it's currently going up on YouTube Podcasts now as we speak. But on Spotify and Apple, I will get that up at the end. So wrong podcast. Ion Canon, the Ion Canon podcast is what you need to look for there. Of course, we are proudly part of the Star Wars Underworld podcast network. Here on the Underworld YouTube channel, we have super chats, we have YouTube memberships. Grateful for any support you can provide. If you chat with us normally in the comments, we are happy to get to it, just like Daisy saying hi here from Aotearoa, New Zealand. There we go. But also, if you super chat us, we'll get to your comment immediately. I'll interrupt our guest to get to the super chat because we're grateful for any material support you want to provide to the network. Also, the Discord server down below, you can find in the description. You can find a link to the Discord server where we're chatting all about Star Wars, all about comics, all about New York Comic Con news and reveals, and a whole bunch of other stuff. Probably about K-pop Demon Hunters. Probably a little bit in there too. And Joel, are there any events, anything happening coming down the pipe?
This week we'll probably do a game night that we haven't had one in a while. The week after next, we will be doing a Star Wars Visions watch.
Nice.
Even though Visions would already have aired by then, we're going to do one anyway for anyone who didn't see it at the time. And last week we did some Dungeons and Dragons. So if anyone likes Dungeons and Dragons, join the Discord, and I'll give you the Dungeons and Dragons roles. You can be part of our roster of players.
There you go. It's a party. The water's fine. Check it out down in the description below. Last but not least, I mentioned Tractor Beam every Wednesday. Usually Chris Happen and I talk about the comics that came out that day. We're finally catching up, as happened last year around New York Comic Con. We had to catch up, so we're catching up with Tides of Terror #2, Hunt for the Falcon #2, and Legacy of Vader #9. So Joel, don't forget you're coming in partway through that one to chat the sequel era comic books, and of course check us out on the Tractor Beam at Blue Sky as well. All right, I think I got all the way through the plugs. I should mention that's this Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, right here on the Underworld YouTube channel and wherever else you get your podcasts. Okay, now I'm done talking. No, I'm just kidding. I'll keep talking. But I'll put you on the spot, Ash. In the week since New York Comic Con, I know you've been busy being healthy or not, but have you been able to enjoy any Star Wars or reflect on your NYCC experience or whatnot in the last week?
I mean, definitely a lot of reflection as I was sitting in bed, but I was sitting in bed with my special edition copy of episode 3 novelization that arrived at my door. So, it wasn't all bad as far as that's concerned. So that's how I spent most of my week. I also started finally the Lego one. Why am I blanking on its name right off?
Rebuild the Galaxy? Lego Rebuilt the Galaxy?
Yeah, Rebuild the Galaxy. Jeez,
Right.
Louise. Yeah,
Okay.
finally started that because for some reason, it ended up further back on my watch list than like day of. So those were my major this week in Star Wars things for me. So
I just realized I was on the wrong microphone there. So if I sounded like garbage, now I hopefully sound better. There we go.
I really didn't notice until now, and then I'm like, oh wow, you are really coming in clear.
Sorry about that, guys.
yeah.
I forgot to check. I got so excited. Any insights from the Revenge of the Sith novelization? Oh, mine is at the Indigo right now. I got to go pick it up on Thursday. Any insights from the footnotes and whatnot?
Yeah, my main insight is there's a ton of them, more than I was expecting, which is great and distracting at the same time. So it's like half a page of text, half a page of footnotes, but you're getting all of the insight you didn't have before. Whether it's about, literally just like what tool he was trying to use from a literary perspective in order to invoke something specific, or like, hey, I knew this little piece because it was in the original script, but obviously you don't see it materialize on screen quite as much. So I wanted to pull that out specifically. So it's a lot of interesting information. And I'm probably only a few chapters in because I would get tired with my sickly little eyes, but I'm excited to read more.
Yeah. It sounds like, half page of footnotes. That sounds like a few of the books I read for my master's thesis. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
There you go. Joel, you have the Revenge of the Sith novelization in? Did you get it in, or?
Yeah, I've had it for a couple days now.
All right. Have you been able to rip into it and get into it and read some insights?
And I forgot how different the book is from the movie. So, I was just skimming through it like I do. And I got to the point where Palpatine reveals he's the Sith Lord. It's that scene where Anakin goes to the office. It's Palpatine in the Red Room in the hallway. That scene is way longer in the book, and there's like entire whole areas where like Palpatine's like, "I'll give you anything. Want food? Yours. Corellia? Got it. Want a cool little speeder? I can give you a speeder, Anakin. That's yours too. I'll give you anything." And then what's really interesting is he goes, have you ever heard the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise? He said that again, and then he says, that story's real. I was the apprentice. That was me. Like, he literally tells Anakin, yeah, that story, I that's real, and I was the apprentice. I did that. So he confirmed Plagueis is a real in that moment. It's always wild reading this novel, and it's like it's telling a different story, and it's not at the same time. It's one of those juxtapositions, like it's not the movie, and it is the movie at the same time. It's very fascinating.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. I had trouble putting into words what this novelization is, what it's doing. Yeah, it's both is the same story and just something, so many different layers below that feels so different. So yeah, looking forward to it. Chris Abbott also, of course, he read it all the way through. He loved it. I don't know what he did with the footnotes, but yeah, definitely looking forward to. I'm probably going to jump to a few of those scenes. Probably not going to go all the way like page by page or whatever, but looking forward to that. One book I did go page by page in is Rise and Fall of the Galactic Empire. Finally, as promised, got to reading half of it, and so in true football fashion, of course, Chris Kempshell himself is a Liverpool fan. There we go. So my halftime commentary, I had to pause it because I got another book in that I wanted to start reading for this year channel, this year podcast. We'll let you know what that is. Nice little tease. But yeah, it really, the thing that really sticks out is, yes, Beaumont Kin is writing it, but really Chris Kempshall is writing it, and how much Star Wars history is coded for the real world. How much, the problem with humans, Joel, you think you pointed this out too. I made a joke. The problem with humans, you mean there's only one? But the problem with humans being the white male privilege, and how even with Palpatine, he speaks to privilege. And I mean, I do wonder, is there maybe a more sophisticated way of writing about that, talking about that? But for a more popular audience, it's interesting. It's sort of like an academic book, but its tone is far more popular. And so, well, I guess Rise and Fall of the Third Reich is more popular too. But
real book. Well, for one thing, it's an old book that's been around for 70 years.
That's true too. But yeah, so that example is the example of propaganda and Palpatine feeding on the prejudices that people already had. We don't get a lot of stories about the human-centric prejudice, but Beaumont Kin, Chris Kempshall does a good job of teasing that out and pulling that out of the world, and how, I mean, yeah, that's our world today, right? And it's not just our world today; it's our world, the last how many millennia that humans have existed. But we see it kind of, when authoritarianism is on an upswing, as it is right now in those United States, among other places. That it is because it's playing off of prejudices that people already have and fears that people already have. And so, to spell it out the way Chris Kempshall is spelling it out. I know he'll be the first to say, "Well, no, Beaumont Kin is just writing history." No, Chris Kempshall is spelling out what Star Wars means for the real world, just in kind of more implicit terms. So, that's gonna be interesting. Hopefully, I'll be able to get back to that soon enough. Because got to read the Rebel, the Galactic Civil War, and then the aftermath parts. But enjoyable. I don't know, Ash, have you gotten a chance to read that one? Look at that one?
No, I mean, it's in so I have like a stack of books, obviously this high with
You
all
too?
of my Star Wars stuff. I know, shocking.
Mhm.
So it's in there. It's actually, I am reading, Revenge of the Sith, Skip the Line, and then I'm doing Skywalker's A Family at War, and then actually Rise and Fall, for the exact reasons you just laid out, is actually third on my list, because it's I know it's very pressing and relevant, and I want to hide from it, but I feel like I should continue to be involved, and in ways that feel more palatable. And so far as it's Star Wars, so I'll love it, even though I'm crying inside and outside.
Yeah, it's a fun escape.
Escape.
I mean, I got a nice international border to help, but Joel, I mean, when you were reading those parts of this book, what was kind of your sense of what Chris Kempshall was doing? Not so much what Beaumont Kin was doing, but what Chris Kempshall was doing in that book.
Yeah, I mean, I don't take it as seriously, because I think even Chris Kempshall's a little oversimplifying things of the more complexities of real world history. But I definitely can see where he's coming from. I mean, if anything, I read this book and I'm like, wow, Palpatine's way smarter than what we got. We got the lame version of all of this. We got the stupid version. Palpatine's somewhat cool. He can do it. But no, I mean, I totally get where he's coming from. He definitely drawing a lot of parallels from today, and obviously World War II, because that's the big one. It's called Rise and Fall, the Galactic Empire. Come on. So I get a lot of that. I really just liked how he kind of managed to kind of just sort of, he's not originally fleshing the Empire out, because the Empire has been fleshed out in so many other places for so long. Definitely pulling from a lot of other sources over the many decades of fleshing out the Empire since the original source book of 1980, Imperial source book of 1980 is really fleshing it out. I like the way he's, I really also liked how he sort of managed to kind of make a narrative of sequels, prequels, and originals as sort of one single coherent narrative, and really sort of laid it all out there. I thought that was good. And I think you're right. I mean, it is one of those things where it's like, I've always found interesting how like so much story material actually doesn't go into the whole human high culture thing about the Empire and even the First Order. Some things touch on it a little bit, mostly in books.
Mhm.
Even then, I don't feel like the books have gone into it that hard anymore. The shows do and don't, at least not overtly. Maybe more on a subjective, kind of subtle level.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've always, it is always one of those things where it's like the whole human supremacy thing of the Empire is one of those things where it's like it's there if you want it, but not everyone always picks up on it. Like people always talk about Andor. I don't think Andor really even picks up on the whole human supremacy thing that much. If I'm going to be quite honest. Gorman's because everyone's human in Andor, and I can't really. Sorry, someone's honking out there. Stop that
okay.
car. Bad car.
The car is Orange County. Sorry.
I know, right?
Yeah.
But I know it's just one of those things where it's like,
yeah.
Okay. It's just one of those things where it's like, it's something that comes up a lot in like source material and sometimes books, but I don't know. It's not always as prevalent as you think it'd be.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Yeah, that'll be good. Good conversation topic. I dive into more, but we have a lot of stuff to get into. Definitely something to think about. Future episode. But yeah, we're talking about New York Comic Con, which is the fun. Take me back. I want to go back. I'm gonna do my darndest to go back next year because come on, it looked so great. It looked so much fun. Ash, you were there. You go every year as much as you can. First, I'll put you on the spot for a few things. First off, what was it just like being there this year? How did it compare to previous years? What were the vibes?
Yeah, so I think interestingly, the Thursday and Friday were a lot more chill than previous years, which
Nice.
I will take and was fantastic. They moved a lot of things around, which myself and other cosplayers were not happy about. Like the cosplay pavilion does no longer exist. And so if you want to take pictures with the 501st and, anything else that used to have to do with cosplayers that was up in what was called the River Pavilion with all this nice natural light and big windows, it was in a basement room now, which was kind of a bummer. But it was convenient for me whenever I was doing Star Wars meetups because it was right outside the VIP room where I was often hiding. So, but our pictures were all dark. Yeah. But that was really great. I thought the mix overall of like who was there, both from a celebrity and from a panel perspective, was a little weird this year and a little lackluster compared to other years. Not to say that there weren't great things going on, and obviously the only Star Wars panel of substance was the publishing panel, which is usually one of my favorite panels of New York Comic Con regardless. But the fact that was literally the only thing, I was surprised by that. And there were that really many Star Wars guests. I mean, there are some who were like kind of tangentially moving into the world, like Sigourney Weaver, but she was incredibly expensive to do anything with. And then I ended up getting a photo op with Bryce Dallas Howard, since she directed a couple of episodes of Ahsoka now, and of course Mando and all that stuff. But like, as far as Star Wars content, a little lackluster this year, but still plenty of other good things always happening at Comic-Con and fun meetups and stuff.
Hasn't dissuaded me from wanting to go again. I'll put it that way. Yeah, well, that is too bad. Like that River Pavilion, whatever it's called, that is so spectacular. I love walking through that. That's true. It's too bad. So anyway, before we go into the publishing panel, I do want to say one really cool thing happened to you. And if you folks go to StarWars.com, you'll see Ash front and center, first thing on that article. I'll get the link up in the audio version. You were pulled aside by Kristen Baver, as from what I can tell, I guess, of the story, and she did a bit of an interview, and you got in the article. First of all, how did that happen, and what was the story there, and what was it like to be interviewed by Kristen Baver for StarWars.com?
Yeah, so the way that all happened was that I found out that there was going to be a Clone Wars meetup, like an official meetup on Thursday. And so then I decided to go, well, I have Ahsoka season 7, I've got regular Ahsoka, I have all these different things. But what if I was mean and decided to pull together my victory and death cosplay and
So
bring
good.
Jesse on a stick with me? And
Yeah.
So
Okay, yeah,
naturally,
I gotta find
when
this. So good. Go ahead. Keep going.
yeah, no, totally fine. Naturally, when I made it to the meetup, I stuck out a little walking around with a Jessie head on a stick. And so we kind of like locked eyes as I was like doing the photos and everything. And she was like, being like, we got to talk. So I went up to her afterwards, and so I had never met her before then. And I was, there.
Amazing. No, well, first of all, who made all this?
Me.
Yeah.
Wow.
Anyway, keep going.
Wow, that's awesome.
Somehow me, except for the Lecu. I have an awesome creator named KM Creations who does the Lecu, because I don't know how to do silicone work. I don't have the space for silicone work. I don't have any of the things to do that, and I feel like the Lecu is what makes it. But yeah, so she spotted me being a troll across the across the meetup, and I we like met up clearly because we were like kind of cracking up at each other the whole time. Got a friendship bracelet, which was very exciting. It says Sice Noodles on it, which I am pumped about.
The original showgirl herself.
Exactly. Also, as you say that was a cosplay that I like had immediately thought of, and then I was like, that would be hilarious, but we'll see if I ever do that. But anyway, all that to say, so then we were just talking, in general, about everything, Star Warsy. And then I was about to leave, and she was like, oh my gosh, no, wait, like, I'm going to interview you if you have the time for that. And I was like, of course I do. And so I talked to her about everything that you see in that interview. And I talked to her about, she actually thought I looked familiar. And I was like, well, I'm just an Ahsoka cosplayer, it could be that. And she was like, no, I think I've seen you on Ashley's Instagram. And I was like, it's probably accurate because I have appeared on that Instagram.
Yeah.
Yes, excuse me, not my own Instagram. Although now she can see me on my own Instagram because we follow each other. So very exciting here. But anyway, talked about, how, I've grown to know Ashley over the last 10 years, what got me into cosplaying in general, what got me into cosplaying Ahsoka, which obviously is detailed in that article, but just talking about all the fun that comes with Star Wars and being able to cosplay it, and also sometimes being a troll with it and having fun.
Why not? I mean, get Jesse on a stick.
Yeah, taking Filoni's most heartfelt and grueling moments and trying to scare people with them. Like the theme of New York Comic Con this year was spooky, and I was like, what's more of a jump scare than Jesse's head? So
there we go. Fantastic work. It's so cool.
Thank
You got interviewed. The other reason why I want to go next year is what you dream up next. No pressure. There we go. Last but not least, we'll talk about the panel itself, but unlike Chris, you actually got into the room. You didn't sleep in. Last time I'll mention that about him. Chris Abbott, he slept in. It's a long story. He told the story on Wednesday. Anyway, what was it like being in that room? Lucasfilm Publishing panel, was the energy, the buzz?
It was great. It was in a different spot than usual as far as those panels were concerned. So we were in the middle panel room, so we could hear everything that was going on the other side. But then all of us, especially nerdy nerds, I feel like, because we're in the Lucasfilm Publishing panel, we're like, yes, hooray, woohoo. But the thing that got the loudest applause and drowned out the other rooms was definitely the Jar Jar comic.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
You're
ready with that.
We're talking about the Jar Jar comic for sure today. Yeah. That's good to know.
Oh, yeah.
There we go. Like how long of an applause did that one get? I don't know. Yeah.
Probably the longest of the
Yeah.
day, just because like, especially when they revealed the variant cover, I think, or maybe it's just a second issue
Nice.
cover where they show him with Keller and Beck.
Right. I don't think I
So
got that. No, I didn't get that image, but that's okay.
hold on.
Sorry. Oh,
Can I show it on my phone?
see
Can
if it works,
Yeah, that's my
Do
question.
or just send it to me and
do it.
I'll do my magic over here.
Oh, I think I have it right
Okay.
here. Let's see if it'll do it.
There we go.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Professional podcasting people.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's all good.
Okay.
There we go.
There
There we go.
There we go. Perfect.
Yeah.
Yay.
Woo.
That's
But
wild. That's so yeah.
I just love that, like, he went
Mhm.
from, I mean, I don't love the bullying part by
No.
any means, but I love that
Mhm.
he has risen out of that to now have two of his characters now on a comic. Like, that's
Mhm.
incredible. It's so exciting. So
Well, there you go. So, well, that's a good segue then. Just good to know again that Gladys cheer. Let's dive right in. Yeah, let's keep talking about this. Jumping around here, all good. Misa liked this. There we go. On my best himself is
like it.
so what this news is that On My Best himself is teaming up with Mark Guggenheim to writing a one shot about our favorite Gungan and Master Keller and Beck. So the comics news, Chris and I talked about it quite a bit on Wednesday. We'll go into it a little bit more here, but this is written of course by Mark Guggenheim and Ahmed Best, art by Kieran McCowan, and here's the main cover by Torian Clark, and that should come out next February. Did Mark or anyone else say anything more about this, or was it all kind of a blur?
yeah, so what, you'll have to forgive me if this is in like a blurb somewhere and I'm being
That's okay.
repetitive, but this is what I remember from the panel.
Yeah.
So apparently it takes place right after Jar Jar says or gives the motion for giving Chancellor Palpatine emergency powers. So the implication there is that some folks already immediately like don't like that idea for various reasons. I'm not sure exactly whom or why, other than like the obvious.
Yeah.
But it seems that Keller and Beck is basically put on assignment to protect Jar Jar right after that occurs, because there's some sort of threats against him, and apparently adventure will ensue thereafter. So yeah,
that makes me want it even more. I was already so hyped for this. Come on. Joel, what was your reaction to this comic?
My reaction was, and maybe I'm giving myself too much credit because I do that, because I'm an egotist at heart. No, I'm just kidding. But I swear, this is what I was thinking. I feel like I've said somewhere on this podcast, or maybe it could have been Tractor Beam. I feel like I said this somewhere where I said, Ahmed Best is so prolific, and he seems very smart and intelligent. He seems like a very deep guy. I'd love it if he could just, I don't know, write a Jar Jar book or something. I feel like I swear I said that somewhere. And so yeah.
For the record, I don't remember, but I'll take your word for it.
I want to feel like we said it after Celebration, because Ahmed Best was talking during one of the panels.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
And I just remember people saying, how prolific he was and stuff he was saying. And I was like, he could write a book or something. Because he did write an actual book, but that was life. And I was like, well, how about you just write a Jar Jar book or something? Really kind of oversee that character. And I'm like, well, okay, here we go, finally. So yeah, I'm very excited about this. I'm excited he actually gets to kind of be in the process of writing for his own character. I don't think every actor should necessarily have that right to. I don't necessarily think every actor is necessarily going to be good at that. But I think Ahmed Best is one of those very good examples of someone who probably is going to be very good at that, and probably, along with Mark Guggenheim, who I really like already, will probably give both of Ahmed Best's characters quite a lot of life and interesting characterization in this one shot. So yeah, this is exciting, and I think it's even more exciting that Ahmed Best is to kind of write for his own characters in some way.
Yeah.
I know he was very involved with the creative process of both Keller and Beck, and he had a lot of thoughts about Jar Jar Binks. So yeah, I think this is great.
So I mean, the fact that it's set in around episode 2 makes me wonder if was Ahmed Beck is his name also coming in, the guy that you see the cameo in the Outlander Club. That
I feel like they probably would.
probably will be. Just
I hope so.
Yeah, it's Kelleran's Ahmed Beck rather, Kelleran's twin, I guess. Ash, what are you excited about for this one?
I mean, I just love the idea of double Ahmed, in both of his capacities, and I feel like it's going to be nice to see Jar Jar in kind of more of a serious setting, because obviously if you look at him in like Clone Wars and other things that he's in, he's the stuttering, crazy goofball that we do love, but is hard to take seriously, obviously. And I know he's meant to be that way, but I think actually seeing him, in like a real politically dangerous situation is going to be really interesting and probably add a bit more gravitas than we're used to with Jar Jar, which I think will be very welcome, especially because like, yeah, I like Jar Jar as a kid because I saw The Phantom Menace when I was 9, and then I became a teenager and I was like, this is a little grating. And then I went back and I was like, oh, what a goofball. But, but now for him to kind of like grow up with us, into kind of something that looks to be a little bit more mature, I think will be really interesting to see. So very excited about this.
Yeah, I mean, it strikes me that Ahmed will bring the seriousness for both characters. Mark Guggenheim, I mean, he wrote the D Squad arc in the Dark Droids crossover, and that is the funniest comic book I've ever read. And so I think he's going to be the comedy and the kind of I could just see Kelleran just shaking his head or doing the face palm all the time. So yeah, that kind of juxtaposition. I'm especially looking forward to Ahmed writing Jar Jar seriously as well. So looking forward to that. We got a bit more comics news, including High Republic Phase More. I'll get this down. High Republic Phase More starting at 2.5 with High Republic Adventures Pathfinders, and that'll be written by George Mann. These are the covers by Jake Bartok. Written by George Mann, art from Partha Pratim, Jagdish Kumar, Michael Attier, and Vincenzo Riccardi, and letters by Comic Craft. So definitely, yeah, looking forward to it. There's some more Vern. I believe it was at Kiev. I can't tell. Oh, no, there's a new character. It's hard to tell there. You got the shield there.
I know it's not Vern because they're not even alive yet.
Oh yeah. This is centuries before. What am I talking about? I'm the High Republic guy. I should know these things. There we go. Also, I'm gonna kind of roll through these, but let me know if you guys want to bring another one back up. Ethan Sachs, as he mentioned in the Fan Expo Canada panel, he's writing issue number 3 of Boba Fett Black, White, and Red. Here's some internal art by Juan Jose Rip. And this one comes out November 26th, so just over a month from now. Look at that. I just love the use of the red splotches there. Something I mentioned on Wednesday was that the Vader and Maul books were much more harder lines and using the red to delineate things. This, I mean, probably because I'm watching The Boys a lot. This is like blood splatter. There we go. Also, Visions is going full manga from Viz with Tsukomo from the all-star creators of the latest Ultraman manga. And the description there is from the article on StarWars.com. In the wake of Order 66, a lone Jedi Knight accompanies a pair of droids to a rumored droid's paradise while being pursued by the Empire. And that comes out July 14th, 2026. So before we get into the more current comics news, any of those strike you? Ash, are you digging into any of these? You looking forward to these?
Oh yeah, I mean, the answer is all of them because I will consume every piece of Star Wars media. But the red, white, and black is just like so stunning to me that's what I'm most excited for, probably. Not that I'm not excited to get any High Republic that I can, although constantly behind on that. But yeah, they showed us a lot more of the artwork in the panel, and it was just absolutely stunning and looks so cool. And then like the story is just brutal, which I
Oh
love.
yeah. Oh
So,
yeah, it's great. Yeah.
yeah.
Joel, I mean, what do you think about? Because you've been thinking about phase more a lot, and also you like visions and manga. What sticks out to you with these three
Yeah.
stories?
I'll start with High Republic first.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm excited about the time it's set. Setting in
Mhm.
between phases 2 and 3, or phases 2 and 1. I hate that.
Yeah.
It confuses me, and I like phase 2, but it still confuses me. Because I've always sorry. But weird thing when I think of the High Republic, I actually feel like that's kind of where I feel like the High Republic truly is. And what I mean by that is where it's like the High Republic as we sort of see it in the book is sort of like always in this crisis mode, with the Nile and the occupation zone and blah blah blah.
Mhm.
I would kind of feel like the High Republic was always meant to be about the golden age, when things are on the rise and when good times are here and when things are expanding. And we kind of see like the tail beginnings of that in phase 2. And then by phase 1, I feel like it's almost done, and then obviously we kind of hit our first major roadblock.
Yeah.
With the Nile. Here, I feel like it's that finally that in between period of like, there's not gonna be a major crisis. Things are on the up and up for the Republic. Obviously, there can be problems, where it's obviously you gotta have some adventure conflict. That's a good narrative. But you're gonna see the expansion into the frontiers, and you're gonna see the Jedi exploring and finding things, and kind of that 100 to 200 years in between phases 2 and 1. I think is sort of really interesting and truly what that golden age is always talked about. So yeah, I'm excited that this is definitely part of the phase more timeline. I was always very curious if are we gonna get follow-ups to phase 3 right away, or what's gonna go on there. So that's, I think, is very interesting. As for the Visions manga, I'm glad that it's not our first manga. There's actually a couple mangas coming out next year. I think Thrawn's getting another adaptation. I think isn't there a Jedi Fallen Order manga? I think coming out too.
Yeah, there's also one unoriginal story involving a Jedi or involving a lightsaber during the sequel trilogy.
Right. You mean original? You said unoriginal.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, original story.
Yeah. So there's one of that. So yeah. That's good to see more manga. I like that the Visions label is doing stuff beyond just the shorts. Obviously, we're getting the big series next year as well, which is exciting. But I'm glad it's because you do have like that Visions comic that came out a couple years ago. We have Ronin. That was apparently a really good book by everyone who read it. It's like one of the best Star Wars books ever. So yeah, and now Visions manga. Yeah, I'm excited about that. I'm just glad the Visions label is kind of continuing on into other things as well. And as for Black, White, and Red, I don't really have much to say about that one. Just Black, White, and Red with Boba Fett. That's gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong there.
Yeah. As you mentioned, you're catching up on High Republic. Whereabouts are you in it, and where do you think this comic will fit in your reading?
That's a good question. I would have to pull up my checklist of where I am, and I don't know because I've deviated so much into other books recently. I'm somewhere. I'm gonna say towards the end of phase 2.
Okay.
I could not tell you. I mean, I could tell you which book if I pulled up my fancy checklist, but I am not 100% even certain. But everything I read in High Republic, I love. Yeah. Speaking of what I want, this kind of relates to all the Viz Media stuff. I want a High Republic era manga, but it's a slice of life manga in like phase 0, where it's just like, Jedi doing things at the temple, small little, things happen, maybe exploring, what it's like to be a teen Jedi in the temple when things aren't going horribly awry. Like, I think that would be a very cute and fun, like,
notice
little
me,
thing
Master
to do.
Senpai.
Exactly. So, but it would be really interesting because you could see how, like, maybe, the younglings try to distinguish themselves when there is no, overarching crisis that they're trying to deal with, and like really delve into like what life in the Jedi Temple is like kind of supposed to be like, as opposed to when they're a freaking army all the time.
Well, there's
So,
that.
yeah.
Wait, is it a galaxy without a crisis? What is this? What's this? Star Wars, not pro-war? Yeah, I mean, almost like I guess Young Jedi Adventures sort of gets at that, but a little older, I guess, is what you mean.
And more like in the style of a slice of life manga.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. Pretty neat. Lastly, some other comics news. So we got some reminders of Legacy Vader number 9, which we are talking about this Wednesday, finally, and number 10, Jedi Knights number 8 and 9. I think the one including Keller and Beck also. Lastly, and this is the thing that was unsaid, was probably the most interesting. Splash page guys reporting on Blue Sky. Nothing firm if Jedi Knights will continue after number 10. This is, of course, Mark Guggenheim's ongoing-ish run. Or the fate of Afra Chaos Agent. Charles Soule says he's still thinking about the Broken Blade story and hasn't forgotten about that. So that was an interesting little bit. Joel, I think you have some thoughts on where comics are. I know on Tractor Beam, Chris and I have gone on that, and the week before with the guest talking about the comics industry. What do you make of what wasn't said here, and maybe what was said?
Right. Sorry. I feel like I've talked about this before so many times. I kind of lost my train of thought now for a second. Let me get back.
Yeah.
I mean, here's the thing. I was surprised. I mean, I didn't have a chance yet to give my overall thoughts on just Comic-Con or just what the announcements in general. So I'll use this time to do that too.
Yeah. Sure.
So, like, weirdly enough, like, I'll say this, like, I was quite surprised by the announcements overall, more than I expected for sure. And we'll get into the big ones, why I was more or less happy. I guess I wasn't surprised by the lack of, like, updates on the comic book news, if I'm being honest. I mean, why would you announce something that's canceled in a big panel? It just seems like it's going to be a big bummer. Like, hey, or even like, hey, here's the new stuff. You can ignore the old stuff now. Don't buy it anymore. We're moving past it.
Don't buy it anymore. Yeah. Sorry.
That only kind of worked with movies. Even then, if I can kind of know ahead of time what you're getting. But so that does surprise me. We'll talk a little bit more on Monday about what the heck's going to happen with Legacy Vader because of some stuff that went down.
On Wednesday, I mean.
On Wednesday. I don't want to spoil too much. But,
I haven't read it yet, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good thing I didn't say anything. Oh, I wasn't doing anything. But, I'm not super shocked. It's looking like everything's about to redo with a new number 1. Although Afra seems like the interesting one because I thought that was going to go up to 10 because of the Penguin Random House trade saying it was. But according to every Penguin Random House, Star Wars, Knights, also going up to 10. I'm surprised Knights is ending, if I'm a little honest. I thought that one was doing okay. I like that one quite a bit. That and Legacy Vader are the two I kind of enjoy the most out of the comic book runs this year. And again, Legacy Vader's probably going to 11 or 12? Question mark. Definitely going beyond 10. We know that for sure. But yeah, it's definitely interesting times. I really liked your conversation, by the way. We didn't have time to talk about that with what's his name? Shoot,
Brandon.
I think he really kind of went into like how a lot of real world economic stuff is kind of affecting Star Wars at the moment. I mean, it affects everything, not just Star Wars. It affects everything. Dang it. I think that's kind of important to remember, folks. Sometimes it's not just nerd stuff that affects your Star Wars. It's real world economic crises that's going to affect your Star Wars.
A global pandemic. Who knew?
Global pandemic and maybe a recession next year. So, it does sound like in general 10 is kind of the new norm for a while of ongoing runs. Although I guess we don't know that for sure until we get the next one. So I guess I wasn't completely surprised that we didn't get anything, and but I was also just so happy with what we got. So I'm glad it kind of was nothing. 'Cause I feel like last Comic-Con was more of a nothing compared to this year, where I felt a little bit more interesting.
Yeah, definitely more substantial, certainly with the novels, and we'll get into those very soon. Yeah, there's definitely a habit. I don't like this, probably because I'm a nerd, but also I think about this wider, more broadly in terms of our culture and leadership culture. That if you're going to do something to disappoint people, you do it quietly, or you don't do it at all. And I'm like, well, I get that you don't want to deal with the blowback, but transparency builds trust. And
I don't think
say,
Disney cares about transparency at this point. I just think,
so then don't worry about then why not just be upfront about it if you don't care about blowback? Then I don't know.
No, I think they just like I think they just know you'll buy their stuff anyway. So
well, yeah,
there's no incentive. No incentive. You're thinking too ethically, my friend. In this
I think about. Sorry for being ethical, Joel.
You little Jedi.
Yeah, there you go. Are you which of the are you up on these books, Legacy Vader, etc.? And what do you think maybe of those kinds of comments? Were there other kinds of comments you can recall from the panel about where things are going?
Yeah, so a lot of it was like you mentioned that we haven't forgotten from Charles Soule. A lot of that. He said that I should have taken a tally. I kept joking that I'm just gonna like mark on my Leku how many times he literally said that. But I think kind of the vibe overall is, as you just said about the, the economics of it all, is that folks are trying to navigate this very, very strange time. And I think also when it comes to trying to push physical media, it becomes a little bit more difficult, especially with things like tariffs, even if they're not really going that far. And so it's a weird time. And I also think that because Disney is this giant conglomerate and, they kind of think about how they approach things, I think not necessarily from a place of like differentiating sectorally, meaning that now that we've gotten to the, over the last like decade, the world of 10 episode seasons of something as opposed to 22 episodes a season, they're kind of doing that same thing with comic books. And I think thinking about it that way. And I find that to be obviously a real bummer because sure, some only deserve, like only need, maybe that many, but there's so much more to dig into, especially when you're talking about something like, anything in the like Jedi Knight or anything really at all involving Vader, unless it's the smallest little slice of life there. I'd like to see more things dug into in a lot of these arcs, but at the same time, I'm gonna buy it. I'm happy it's there,
Sure.
Which I feel like I'm being breadcrumbed by Disney, and I'm sure that's their intent.
We all are.
We all are. I was reading a Reddit post. I mean, this is always that's a terrible way to always gain credibility. I was reading a Reddit post.
Still on Reddit one day. Sorry, keep going.
I mean, I don't know.
It's an exchange of ideas. Anyway, keep going.
He was talking to Ethan Sachs at the Artist Alley and talking about this sort of stuff. And apparently, it's what this guy said on Reddit. It's what this guy said. Ethan Sachs says like one of the reasons why it's also hard, apart from the industry struggling, is apparently because there's no movies around. I found that quote a little interesting, but I guess it's somewhat true because obviously the movies kind of give Star Wars the highlights to kind of then you kind of trickle down to the other material a little bit. And I guess this era of comics has sort of started in a bit of a more of a quiet era when everything's sort of front loaded this year. So I think like what Andor ended in May, and it's like I'm not gonna get really anything on screen majorly till Mando and Grogu. Even then, if you want to count Maul's Shadow Lord, probably not till February. That's just my guess. I could be wrong. I definitely know about Mandalorian and Grogu. That's in May. That's confirmed date. Not sure about Maul. So I thought that was another interesting thing that he said overall. And I am kind of curious of like, because you're right about the whole comparing it to like streaming when TV is 22 episodes and now it's going to going down. I am kind of curious if like kind of like with comics and TV, the story will continue just like, but with a new number one, and just kind of like, like this arc is like kind of the season 2 or part 2 of this thing, but now it's number 1 again because we're reissuing number 1s for some reason, and doing another 10 arc thing. Kind of like how I'm very curious of what Charles Soule's next Star Wars thing will be after Legacy Vader, and if it's like a spirit sequel to that, or is he just going to do something different? So yeah, who knows? New time.
Yeah, I mean, you guys both make some interesting points. Just overall, the relationship between screen and paper in terms of sales. I know the Marvel universe, when a big MCU film comes out, that's when you see a new number one run in the comic book shelves, right? I mean, Shang-Chi or whoever, even obscure characters like that, come out of the woodwork and get their own run because they know people are curious about the movies. Like me, I admit I picked that one up. Are gonna give it a look, and it's usually almost connected to the story. So there's that. Maybe you talk about the not sectoralizing, just saying, or whatever the word is, just hey, this is what you do there, do it there, it works. I mean, I wonder if Bob Iger's like, hey, it worked for Marvel, it should work for Star Wars. Clearly kind of
well, I mean, when Force Awakens was in kind of the horizon, that's when Star Wars Jason Aaron? Is it Jason Aaron? Yeah, Jason Fry. Jason Aaron number 1 started, and Vader number 1 started, and they were definitely banking on that Force Awakens just coming. Get ready,
for
folks.
Sure. Yeah.
So
no, that's for sure. I mean, yeah, that's the great point there of that Ethan was making. I mean, Ash, your point about the 10 and 10. I mean, it is a bummer because we want authors to go let her rip and give us. I mean, those 25 issue, 50 issue runs were spectacular. Some things, the Jason Aaron one had a bit of a lull until Kieran Gillen picked it up. But yeah, I mean, Charles Soule's 25 issue run, but can you imagine Marvel giving an author a 25 issue run now? I mean, I'm reading, kind of taking a break from it, but I need to get back to the Avengers run by Jed McKay, and that's into 30 something. But at those numbers, the only people who are reading it still are the dedicated folks. So that's another issue. So yeah, that's why they want to churn them out. New number one. Here's the starting point. Interestingly enough, Joel, to your point about restarting the numbering but continuing the story, that's exactly what's happening with the Bad Batch comics from Dark Horse, right? It was Ghost Agents.
I feel like those are more prequels than they are continuations of the story.
Well, no, they're continuation of their own story, as in
right.
You have Ghost Agents you had the Ghost Agents run, and that's being continued in the Rogue Agents run, is what I mean. So,
okay,
maybe that's the thing. We'll see.
I mean, maybe Legacy Vader, and then I don't know, Legacy Kai, or I don't know what you would call it.
Yeah.
Legacy Vader.
Well, we're going to talk about a book called Legacy in a bit, but yes, there you go. Ash, I'll give you the last word on this conversation, and also just in terms of PR. If you're going to disappoint people, do it quietly. Does that hold water still? Do you think, or is that me being too ethical?
So I think yes and no, insofar as it depends, I think, on how much of a bet they've made on it. I think if it's a really big bet, they want to do it quietly because they don't want it to look like a total failure. But then if it's something that they think, going into it, they didn't really care that much about, then that's where they're just like, it is what it is. We'll say things or we won't, because that can kind of go either way as well. But I just feel like they need a game plan across the board for things like that. I mean, that's the tragedy of the sequel era, and also why we don't have all of these things with Rey and other female characters that I would love to see made into real characters, because there's no plan, and they need a cohesive plan across all of their media. And I would go on about this for a million years, but I will stop there.
I mean, I'll just say I don't think it's possible to have that kind of plan because no Hollywood the executive director is going to want to coordinate with the book that they look down upon as
Well,
Italian media.
sure,
So-
but like internally within publishing, I think they can
internally
have
publishing.
a clearer idea.
I think
And
they
it-
need a keeper of the holocron across everything who actually is there to enforce. And I raise my hand, Lucasfilm, if you want one.
I mean,
There we
I
go.
also disagree with that because I think there is a plan coming. I really think we're seeing the starts of one right now.
Yeah.
And also, I do agree,
hoping.
though, that it's kind of one of my final point. You can always kind of tell when a studio just doesn't care anymore because it's sort of like they'll let it finish. Like if they're nice enough to let the creator finish its run, because it's like okay, we signed the contract, so we got to pay you. But they'll kind of stop promoting it and kind of start hyping it up, and they're like, okay, finish it off, and then next thing.
There we go.
Sort of thing with movies too. So
Yeah.
I can see maybe that's why they don't promote Alex Figueroa's mainline because it's like, we don't care anymore. We're done with it.
Well, I think with the Afra, if they really don't care, just tell us. Yeah, it's done. We didn't like the direction or whatever. Anyway, writing's on the wall. Writing on the wall. Speaking of writing letters, how's it going, Tyler? We mentioned speaking of Dark Horse. What book did we mention? We mentioned High Republic Adventures, of course. We mentioned Rogue Agents. There we go. All right, this of course Comicraft Tyler Smith. Also picking up the conversation with Brandon Joel you were referring to about a week and a half ago. On Tractor Beam was all about 2 Wednesdays ago was all about the great diamond meltdowns of 2024 and 2025 and how upheaval in the distribution system for comics has created upheaval in even all the way into creatives and whatnot. So yeah, definitely check out that conversation because I think it went really well and really insightful from Brandon, who knows what he's talking about in terms of comic books. But let's move to novel books, and we'll definitely get to the meat of this. I think the meat of the review, the reveals at New York Comic Con. First up, two-ish stories here. First off, Ashley Poston writing. We're getting a romance in space. We've gotten them before, but sorry. Wait, I'm okay. I'm congested here. I'm alive. Okay. Writing Eyes Like Stars, which features a couple in search of their happily ever after in the galaxy far, far away. The charming young adult romance set about a year and a half before The Force Awakens. Features all new characters, mysterious artifact, fearsome first order, and me drinking water. There we go. That comes out summer 2026. Of course, we love guidebooks. The Art of the Mandalorian Grogu, the film. Oh, wait, sorry guys. I'm okay. I'm just getting over not con cred, but Thanksgiving niece's cold. Anyway, we love guidebooks. The Art of the Mandalorian and Grogu. So the art of the film that was announced, I believe, at the panel. Also, we got a sneak peek at the Mandalorian Visual Guide, including the spread of Ossus from Luke's Jedi Temple training, including yours truly, Ahsoka Tano. There we go. Also, The Art of Andor, the 2-volume Doug Chiang Cinematic Legacy, The Art of Star Wars, The Acolyte, and Industrial Light and Magic, 50 Years of Innovation. I'm pretty surprised not surprised, but it's really cool just to see this level of detail for Ossus and for all these different places that are only. I mean, this is of course from the book of it's from the Book of Boba Fett too, right? So it's going to include parts from the Book of Boba Fett in the Mandalorian Visual Guide. So it's all 3 seasons. And I remember at San Diego Comic Con, Michael Seglain saying that the point of the year is get you teed up for for the movie. So yeah, I mean, again, really cool detail of Jedi lore on this planet in a not a very Jedi not a Jedi focused show, but there we go. And then of course, I mentioned the Eyes Like Stars. Ash, what was the reaction of the crowd to this book and the idea of Jedi romance, or not Jedi romance, just romance generally, and the whole, I mean, it's part of this whole initiative of getting different genres in Star Wars.
No, I think it was definitely a really positive reception. And I think people like seeing Star Wars being applied in different ways than it has been, at least explicitly before. But then I keep thinking, like, this isn't really foreign to Star Wars. Like, if you look at, usually I'm not one of those like romantic-y romance book girlies, but like one of my favorite Star Wars novels is Lost Stars.
It's everyone's favorite Star Wars novel. So.
Like, it's just so good. And I feel like this is, I have no idea anything about the plot other than like other than it sounds like kind of Romeo and Juliet insofar as like she's a nobleman and he's not, and it sounds like may or may not be like a former Jedi or something. I don't know, but that's kind of the teaser that they gave us. But I like them pulling Star Wars into, new places and, kind of combining it with like familiar elements is a way to do that. Like, I don't think not knowing how the story unfolds, I doubt that it's going to be anything that's like really dramatic and novel in that way, but for the application of Star Wars. But I think very much kind of like The Force Awakens, that's the right way to do it when you're kind of trying to like reintroduce or introduce something to the Star Wars audience who could be relatively finicky, and try to pull new people in. Everyone that I've told who doesn't really read Star Wars novels that there's going to be a romance book, they're like, sign me up, let's do it. So, I think there's going to be a good reception to it across the board, and there definitely was in the room.
Yeah, I mean, that helps us situate what kind of a Star Wars romance novel is and what the whole marketing around this is about. If you like romance, here you go. It's not saying Lost Stars isn't there. It's not saying Temptation of the Force isn't there, or I keep blanking on the Zoraida Cordova book set on Batu in Black Spire. Though they're there, but this is saying, here, look, go to this. I mean, they're getting Ashley Poston, who I believe must have written other romance and romantasy books. I'm guessing they're, so the thought I gather is that there's going to be also maybe a spy thriller or some other kind of genre. I mean, mostly YA, but I want to see an adult political drama. A Star Wars adult. I don't know what they'll call it that, but I don't know, Star Wars crime drama or something. I don't know. Yeah, Joel, what do you think of this one? And Ash, you can also jump in about the art of books. But Joel, turn to you for this one and for both of them, both the art of books.
I love a Star Wars true detective crime drama. I don't know how this would go down today with sort of people not being happy with the police. But I love
I mean, pull the ACAB angle for Jedi or something.
Oh yeah, I can do that with Jedi. Yeah, I guess maybe you can. Jedi detectives.
Yeah.
I sense the dark side of the Force. I can't think of.
I mean, that's the High Republic comic. What's it called? With oh my gosh, I'm blanking on that. Anyway,
this book. Yeah. It's a little interesting. They're calling it the first ever Star Wars romance, which I'm like, I mean, maybe it's a semantics thing. Maybe it's because of the whole, this is part of some sort of genre initiative that they're planning on doing, which sounds fascinating, by the way. I'm excited for that. Apparently there's going to be more of this kind of thing in the future with other genres. Not quite sure why with the semantics, but okay. Not really going to question it. I mean, I guess Lost Stars not a romance book, I guess. I mean, I guess maybe it needs a happy ending, and Lost Stars kind of ends on a kind of a sad, bittersweet note.
So does Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we don't know if these two are going to die. They might just kiss and live happily ever after, for all we know.
Lost Stars is a romance, is what we're saying.
That's true. I think forget if technically that the Romeo and Juliet was actually categorized as a romance back in the day. I remember taking a class where they said it technically wasn't until later. That's actually like a new thing, but Shakespeare himself didn't consider it.
Oh, okay, I see.
I don't remember. It's a thing I don't remember from my class. But that's a different story. So that's again a little interesting. Like, what's Courtship of Princess Leia? But okay. But yeah. I'm excited for this. It's definitely one of those things, and we'll talk about it later when we kind of look at the books overall. Like, yeah, it's set in the sequel era, but it's about new characters. So fresh characters to do whatever you like. And also one of them's on from Coruscant, so we might get to see sequel era Coruscant. So that's gonna be fun. What are they up to? What's going on good old Coruscant now? That's kind of no longer the capital of everything.
That's true.
As the first door is about to fire Starkiller Base. Because it's supposed to take place 1 year before Force Awakens, so Star Wars Resistance is happening. Kaz is out there doing something at this point. But no, I'm excited to see what this is like and where this goes. It sounds cute. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm glad it's in the sequel era. I'm glad this is a sequel era story. So it's exciting.
Ash, have you delved into the guidebooks, art of books?
Oh, they're all on my coffee table. So yes, absolutely. Very, very excited about this one. I'm super, 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 super excited about Andor. I just they're gorgeous. I read every little piece of them and I'm always like, oh, interesting. And also they're helpful from a cosplay perspective because you get more in-depth look and, literally an in-depth look and an understanding of why something is the way it is and how to that can translate into how you actually make it, which is very helpful. But yeah, I love seeing things the planet you only get 4 shots of, in an entire series and learning more about that because, it's such a big part of world building and understanding, where they're coming from when they created the story. And some of the pictures they showed of Acolyte, which is coming soon, and Andor were super, super interesting. We only got a brief glimpse, but the concept art for those is kind of made me mad for Acolyte.
Yeah.
Insofar as it's exactly what I wanted it to be in that concept art, and then to kind of have it cut short or not translate, in the way that I think they really should have done it, meaning the pieces that we did see were really, really really dark looking and ominous and exactly what I think it should have been. And I will be very interested to read the little blurbs as to why did this not materialize in that way, and I will see if I think it's accurate that that maybe if it had gone in this direction, or, at least in my opinion, that it would have been better received perhaps. But yeah, I'm super excited about all of these for sure.
Yeah,
I
this
love
one,
the sequel era. I want to say I love the sequel era art of books.
Yeah,
I feel like they're the best in-depth thing behind the scenes of the making of those movies. At least 7. I really like 7s.
Well, yeah, I actually bought that one. It's one.
Yeah,
I think it's the only one I actually have. This one, this Acolyte one, that city, it was almost like a Dark Minas Tirith or something.
It totally does.
What's going on there?
Yeah.
Should give that a close look.
With the soldiers, who are they? I don't remember.
Oh yeah.
I think the Sith aren't supposed to have soldiers right now. Maybe they can.
You never know. Who knows? Maybe that's why it got canceled. Stop kidding. That's what I want to do. Got a little comment here though, just about Joel wanting a romance between. Sorry, Ash. Lean up. Because Joel loving a romance story between Senator Palpatine and another senator, Palpatine having to make that fateful decision between true love and true power. Tyler, I think you're joking there.
Well, that was George's original vision for Palpatine. He was going to turn evil because he got dumped.
Yeah, there we go.
That's how we got Rey, right?
Well, sure. So, it's how we got Kylo Ren. There we go. All right, moving on a bit more substantially here. Maybe the biggest reveal for this, and this had a whole separate article on it. Is Madeline Rue's Skywalker Legacy. She's writing a novel called Legacy. I'm going to show the cover here. Said this will follow Rey and her new master Leia Organa on a quest to mend the storied Skywalker lightsaber. So, of course, this is set after The Last Jedi, that year after The Last Jedi, kind of in and around, maybe after Legacy of Vader, something there.
Probably doesn't matter too much. You're going to be one honest.
It might, and we'll see. I'll get into why, because we're going to get some quotes from, speaking first to Maber, from her interview article with Madeline Rue. Of course, this comes out July 28th, 2026. Going to read a few quotes here, because this is more substantive. So from that article, so quotes. I mean, so Kristen writing, and then it's not so much an interview, but an article with quotes here. So this is Kristen's words here. For Star Wars Legacy, Rue delves into the interior lives of General Leia, Rey, and even Kylo Ren, writing in the third-person close perspective. There we go for some technical language there. Rue says it was easiest to find Leia's voice since she spent time reading Carrie Fisher's books among her research for this project. This is a quote from Rue. They're almost intertwined, so it's a huge responsibility, and I take it incredibly seriously, Rue says. I felt a deep, serious kinship with the character and with Carrie Fisher writing this. Another quote here, for her new novel, Rue tackled the story that will help bring Rey and Leia closer together, a bond glimpsed on screen in the final Skywalker saga film. It was an exciting period to explore, Rue says, on the heels of Rey and Kylo Ren's complicated connection and Luke Skywalker's demise. To pick up with Rey at a moment of a lot of doubt and weakness and confusion was a lot of fun, because you couldn't ask for a messier setup, Rue says. You need to get these two people to like each other and be almost like mother-daughter or mentor and apprentice. But this is the mother of the guy who she just had an incredibly messy situation with. It's really fraught. It's really confusing. And just the thought of being with that person's mother is pretty intense. There's a lot of uncertainty. The guy who gaslit her and all that. There we go. And then the last thing that stood out here, Joel, I'm gonna want to get your thoughts on this especially, but definitely Ash as well. On their quest following the Battle of Crate, Rey and Leia will make their way to a planet familiar to fans of The Mandalorian and the Old Republic video game, the planet Tython. Every time something like the Old Republic gets referenced, I light up like a Christmas tree, says Rue, who has a deep affinity for Star Wars video games, including The Force Unleashed, and we needed a planet that had a deep Jedi history. So the three pretty substantial, pretty major quotes there. Ash, what in there?
A quote that was going to connect it to Legacy Vader for a second.
I mean, I think it kind of did, but anyway, Ash, what in there stands out to you? I'm sure I know all of it's fantastic. What stands out the most to you?
I mean, first of all, 2 women leading a book is my favorite thing of all time. I love as many women and strong women in Star Wars just at a baseline. And often I feel like in books you get like a Leia book and it focuses on her, and it's just what, but like to have them actually together and pass the Bechdel test, hopefully, would be phenomenal. Although, you know, I guess the Reylo aspect maybe will make that a little more complicated, but whatever. But I cannot wait to learn more about the freaking lightsaber and where it has been and how they repair it and what they're doing, or, you know, the whole Maz piece of it story for another time, which has been touched on here and there, but I think not fully fleshed out. So if they don't tell me all about that, I'm going to lose my mind. So really excited to see that. I love anything that has to do with, you know, the growth that comes with like emotionally and physically with Jedi training, as it were. And I feel like, yeah, kind of like I said at the beginning, we don't see that many you know, double female trainings as it were. And so it'll be really exciting to see that relationship and its complications with the familial aspect as well. So I think this is the thing that I am probably most excited about for that was announced at the panel.
Yeah, and I mean the reason I think it is in conversation with Legacy of Vader, in addition to the title, is I mean the place of Kylo Ren in this I mean, I'm not a Reylo. I don't think it's a good idea because I think Rey ends up becoming more of a daughter to Leia than Kylo Ren was, at least after Ben Solo leaves. So
Definitely more of a daughter.
Yeah, well, yeah, no, definitely more of a child.
That didn't stop Star.
I know
stop
exactly
Star
what you're
Wars.
saying.
You know what I mean? Yeah, it's true.
That doesn't stop Star Wars.
Sure, but yeah. But that being said, I hadn't even thought of that. That she just come from again this gaslight of you're nobody, but not to me, and then here's the woman that raised you for a little bit. I mean, we know Snoke really corrupted him, but and Rey's got to know Snoke corrupted him. But yeah, that for Rey to have to get over that and get through that as part of her Jedi training, I'm really fascinated by this. And then of course Tython, that's gonna be fascinating. Just delving into the Jedi lore. Yeah, I want more of Rey's journey again into the Jedi. I mean, we're gonna probably get that later on in the films and whatnot, but definitely, fascinated by that. Joel, I'll throw this to you. What of these quotes stood out to you? Was there another quote I missed that stood out to you more? I don't know.
Well, you gotta remember, Matthew. First off, not to defend Reylo too much, but when they want that, they want Rey and Ben Solo. I just think they call it that because it's just easier to remember.
Yeah, no, obviously, yeah, but
so I mean, there's a lot of Reylos mad right now because of what Bob Iger apparently canceled the Ben Solo movie.
Right. Something like that, yeah.
But by the way, the author of the romance novel is apparently a big Reylo. So I guess they could get. So there's that too. Apparently, they get pretty prolific in the writing community. But no, I think this is like the perfect thing to focus on. One of the things I love about the Rise of Skywalker novel, and the comic does a pretty good job, but the novel's better, is really expanding upon the Rey-Leia dynamic of it all. There's way more chapters of Rey and Leia together. Screw it. I'm going to say it. There's a moment in Jaws Object 2 with Rey and Leia that's really good.
Interesting.
It's small. It's not. I mean, it's not much, but it's definitely like, they're definitely that. So they're definitely focusing in on that aspect of the movie, and kind of, I think, maybe are going to kind of by filling in this gaps and stuff like that, really recontextualize that. I mean, you can say the dollar aspect all you want, but I think it's fair. That's definitely a fair thing. But definitely that Leia is more Rey's true Jedi master than even Luke was to some extent. Probably way more than Luke was, honestly. Leia's actually doing the work. And I think that was definitely something Episode 9 was trying to do, but couldn't because Carrie's dead. He's dead at the time. I mean, they're dead. He passed away. Yeah. But now with this book, they can definitely have a lot more room to explore, Rey and Leia's dynamic and as Master and Padawan, or Master and Apprentice, because that cover looks like when Master and Apprentice.
It really
cover.
Does. Yeah.
It really does.
Claudia Gray.
It really does. It really does. I wouldn't be surprised if they were taken from that. So I think that's the perfect kind of thing to do as we kind of are. I mean, this is where I think this is why this book is happening now, is kind of prepping for the next big post-sequels arc that's probably going to have Rey, and I'm think there's a more than 50% chance Rey shows up in Starfighter at the end. I'm going to keep that bet high. I think I think he get a Luke Skywalker, hopefully without the agent digital effects on her face. Because we got Daisy Ridley here. Show up at the
Skywalker, Nick Fury.
Oh yeah, I mean, I am 100% prepared for the ending of this movie to be just you think you're part of a larger Jedi Order or something. I don't remember how the line goes. But or something. If you can have an eye patch for some reason, wear a big old trench coat.
Sure.
I'm kidding. But no. I think this is the story. One of the stories you tell. Hey, it's my favorite. It's one of my favorite parts. And I think that's going to be the best thing about it. Also, this author for this Rey book wrote I forgot what it's called, but it's the Bale and Brea short story from a certain point of view, A New Hope.
Yeah,
Which apparently is supposed to be really, really good. I
it
don't
is.
remember.
Oh, it's amazing.
So I'm excited about that.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm curious how much of Typhon's history she'll pull from this book or not. I mean, it's cool to see Rey go to another ancient Jedi Old Republic book, Old Republic planet in Typhon, which I love. Oh, by the way, also Ossus from The Mandalorian is also a Legends planet in the Dark Empire. So love seeing that come back into focus. And also, because we know she has the broken lightsaber, I guess why she wants to fix it. I mean, like I'm kind of curious what why she decided to fix it in the first place. So that's gonna be interesting. I guess one thing I'll be curious about is if Kylo Ren's even in this book. I mean, he's on the cover. One reason I don't think it's going to matter too much what's going on with Legacy Vader is I don't think they're going to be specific and go, Kylo Ren is in between arcs, issues 11 and 12 of Legacy Vader during the events of this book in the notes in this little sidebar of the book. But I am kind of curious if he'll pop up either as his own chapters or maybe a ghost of Kylo Ren will pop up, diet style, or just weird Force cave visiony things. I'm probably sure something like that might happen. But no, I mean I'm excited for this one, especially get from Leia and Rey's perspective of stuff. So yeah, let's go. Jedi Master Leia, I think is one of my favorite ideas.
Yeah, I mean, sorry, the quote says interior lives of Leia, Rey, and Kylo Ren. So maybe and we got that amazing moment in The Last Jedi where his hands are on the trigger, he's in his silencer, shields are down, hands are on the trigger. He knows who's on the other side of that glass, and he doesn't pull the trigger. The TIE fighter folks do, and then Leia goes on her skywalk. I do think, I mean, the main thing that this is in conversation with the Charles Soule comic is the theme, is the Skywalker legacy. And, I mean, of course, legacy of Vader, legacy of Anakin, legacy of Luke. See how much they delve into that. But yeah, to your point, I do want to know how Maz Kanata got that lightsaber if they actually show it. I mean, I probably won't be as disappointed as you that they don't say it, but just because I'm not expecting them to. I'm expecting.
Are we talking about Maz getting a hand of the lightsaber or Rey?
Yeah.
I just always assumed Rey took it when she. Oh, Maz.
Yeah.
I want to know how all of this happened. Why did it end up in Maz's castle? I have to know. They said it's a story for another time. Here, this is the other time. It's whatever, June 2026.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it'd be cool. I don't know if I agree with that though, but it'd be funny. I would like it with mine.
Well, especially if it fits with the Skywalkers somehow, right? I mean, we know Han goes to Maz's castle during the aftermath, right? During the Battlefront 2 campaign. So
I mean, I feel like this is just so tied to their legacy. Like it's the lightsaber that ties all of them together effectively. And so I think it's hard to separate it from the idea of their legacy. So that's why I want to know so badly.
I know. I hope so. And so I think we can kind of stand back here because like we talked about there being maybe a plan. Kind of the clickbait title is sequel era Renaissance announced at New York Comic-Con. Ashley, for you personally and also in the room, you clearly a sense that they're embracing the sequel era once more and more in depth, starting with Legacy of Vader, but with Eyes Like Stars and Legacy.
Don't forget Last Order coming out soon.
And the Last Order, of course. That as well. What's your sense of them finally embracing it? Why now? And how do you feel about that?
Yeah, so I think maybe they've taken time to digest the criticism, and now this is like, and I actually mean this in a positive way. Sure. A retcon of what they didn't think about before. And I think it's a necessary one if you want to continue to tell stories in that era, because obviously, you know, there was no plan across the trilogy. And so everything was very disjointed. I don't even need to, you know, belabor that point. But I think, you know, especially with the Leia and Rey novel, that like it'll be very helpful from like to dispel. I'm hoping, this is a hope, that like, you know, everything that we delve into, whether it's in there or other media, will kind of dispel this idea that, you know, Rey is not a good character and is a Mary Sue and all of these things, because I think she has the potential, if she's written well, you know, as a character. It's not her fault that she all of a sudden just shows up with the whole backing of the Jedi somehow, and we don't know anything other than like an 80s montage about like how she sort of got there. But if we're delving into those things, and like Tython being almost like a graveyard of all of the best Jedi from a millennia, you know, and like if that is one of her force powers, is kind of soaking in that spirit and adopting their powers and being able to call on them, kind of like some of the legendsy things we've seen before, that would make the final movie make a little bit more sense. Still won't be a great cinematic movie, but at least from a story perspective, we might fill in some of the holes and the criticism that, you know, folks rightly are pointing out. And hopefully, you know, people will start to like Rey more as a character when those things are filled in, and we won't have a lot of the toxicity that, you know, while the criticism of the stories is right, a lot of times, especially as a female Star Wars fan, we get a lot of, well, this is why we shouldn't have women in Star Wars. And I would like for that to be mitigated as much as possible, regardless of, you know, what folks are saying. So, you know, I think delving into like, why did this happen? Why is this a real plot point and can make sense is going to be very helpful.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I don't want to counter that. Or not counter. I'm not countering anything. Although I will say, one counter is, you got way too much hope in humanity. Ahsoka's been I mean, we have so many great Ahsoka stuff, and I still see criticisms. Dang it. I still see those toxic criticisms still on the internet. So, yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's just when it's so Ahsoka obviously hasn't made it into any major motion picture yet.
Not yet.
And so I think that's kind of this like, yes, I would die, I would lose my mind.
Come on,
but I think that's kind of the dividing line, is that, you know, Rey was set up as the primary protagonist and then ended up like kind of, she didn't fall on her face, but the writers fell on their faces, and therefore it looked like, ugh, why did we put a girl here, and this is woke and all sorts of BS like that, when it's really like they just didn't have a plan for writing properly, which is a shame. And so being able to at least mitigate those criticisms, I think would be great, and we can, you know, really expand the universe both from like a social perspective and a good writing perspective. I hope. You know, it could turn out to that everything is stupid and doesn't make sense, and I get, you know, it makes it worse. I don't know, but I'm hoping.
I mean, I know people who don't even like what Charles Soule's doing with the Kylo Ren book, so I don't know. I think
who are they?
People who don't like Kylo Ren and think that what they did with the Knights of Ren is dumb. So, you know, anyway, I don't know. I'm gonna be honest. I think it's always gonna be polarizing. I think the people you win over are the people who already kind of like Rey already. It's just they do think it's the bad writing. But I will say I do agree with sort of that having a little bit of a break to kind of really look at the trilogy and go like, well, what can we fix or, you know, make sense, and what we can't
smooth over.
Yeah, like I mean, funny enough, I do feel like that started in maybe not as direct way because it's not the sequel era, but with the Mandoverse, we're already seeing cloning and stuff being a big part of the Empire's schemes. Bad Batch Season 3, we know Palpatine planned his whole comeback scheme from day one. Probably earlier, really, when you really think about it. But, you know, definitely in those early years with Project Necromancer. Rise and Fall actually got the good way of showing how we got the First Order to be rising in little ways. You'll get there, Matthew. You'll get there.
Oh, yeah.
Shadow of the Sith was in 2022, right? That, yeah.
Yeah,
That was Kenobi year. That was the Kenobi year.
Yeah.
I remember because you and I were there. And that kind of goes into Rey's parents and Dathan, and I forget what the mother's name was. Shoot.
Oh, yeah.
I think that was also the same year, maybe the year before, when we saw the Vader comic on Exegol.
Mirror.
Mirror. Always like it because like Faramir a little bit. But yeah, and then we saw the Vader comic on Exegol. I think that same year, 2022, again, kind of showing, hey, look, here's sequel era stuff in the original trilogy, so it's not all coming out of nowhere. The Shadow Sith was a more direct thing. 2023 was kind of quiet. 2024 was also kind of quiet, but then that's when they announced Legacy Vader that year. And that's been doing a lot of good stuff. I mean, I like it. I know some people don't, but I like it. And then this book,
it's the most successful current run.
I mean, sure.
In both quality and sales. I mean, it's got to be. It's a cut above the other ones, but yeah.
I mean, definitely in our crowds for sure. Yeah. And then this book definitely finally we're gonna get the Rey Leia thing, which I think is an aspect of Rise of Skywalker you do focus on. I think that's one of the better elements of that movie for sure, and probably one of the easier ones to kind of sorry, my brain right now might kind of
like sink your teeth into.
Right. And I think, probably just kind of ease us up because, again, I think Rey might be in Starfighter. I think she's going to Nick Fury and then going to really start setting up the post-sequel era as sort of a big overarching story, like the next Mandoverse in some ways. Oh, yeah, I 100% am on that gravy train of that. That they got the next big storyline of Rey, Edgio, Starfighter, and that other trilogy they're working on. Even heard some stuff about kind of landing. So I think it'll be more interconnected than I think people are ready to realize just yet. That's just what I think. But yeah, I definitely think that's probably why now they took a break and kind of and maybe even internally themselves kind of figure out what the heck do we want? What do we want from Snoke? What is Snoke? What is a Snoke? what do we want people to take away from Rey? Are Rey and Ben Solo brother and sister allegories? Are they lovers? What do we want from them? I think even Lucasfilm internally wasn't 100% sure. Maybe they to some extent maybe still aren't. Who knows? But I think that's why a lot of this has taken time. Like, well, what do we really want to emphasize? And maybe they've made more decisions now.
Maybe they've made more of those, figure things out. What you guys are both getting at though are the ways I mentioned the phrase smoothed over, the ways all these stories have started to try and make a connection between what Rian Johnson set up so beautifully and what J.J. Abrams sort of kind of juggled with. And
I think you gotta give J.J. more credit because a lot of people don't like what Rian continued on. At the end of the day, J.J. is the one who set everything up as TFA. So.
Sure. Yeah. Sorry, Ash, you're going to jump in there for something.
Oh, no. I said fumbled. But I totally agree with Joel there that it wasn't his fault. It was a bad pass, and not because I don't like Last Jedi, just because it was there was no plan. There was no plan. And so if they had planned it as an overarching story and each person came in and, did their style, but it at least had a cohesive narrative agreed upon in advance, that's a completely different thing than I
think you just need one person. I think you just need one person.
I also agree with, as far as the story is concerned. Yeah. You can have different directors as you did throughout all of Star Wars, but at least it was one story that was written.
Yeah. Exactly. I'm going to be honest, I'm not convinced that Colin Trevorrow's episode 9 would have been fared any better. I think we still would talk about this. Just we talk about different stuff.
Yeah, maybe. What I'm getting at though is some of what Tyler here is getting at with sorry, I'm gonna jump up. I'll sorry, one second. I'll flip Joel down just so we can see.
Oh no, I don't care. I don't mind.
No, that actually works. That works well though. Kind of what Tyler's saying there. Like the Plagueis novel, smoothing out, making a plan, making a kind of ex post facto. I know that's the wrong word legally, but whatever. After the fact, making sort of a path from the Last Jedi to the Rise of Skywalker. I mean, even like I mentioned on Wednesday, Will Slimey's comic, Will Slimey's writing art in the adaptation, Jodie Hauser adaptation. Again, that's what Charles is really set out to do in Legacy of Vader.
I think the Rise of Skywalker novel also was the start of that smoothing thing, though.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, I need to read that one.
Oh, I mean,
well, I want to finish my thought, Joel, is that Legacy of Vader, there are a lot of dudes in that. There's not the main character. Legacy, to Ash's point, is the main character, Rey. Also, the person George Lucas thought would have ultimately been the chosen one in the sequel trilogy, Leia. And so, kind of, there's a hint of that. I don't think that's what Matt Unruh was going for, but kind of a hint of bringing Leia back to the fore. And yeah, I hope it passes the Bechdel test, even with Kylo Ren in there. It also speaks to me of the fact that what JJ set up was so brilliant and just brought in a lot of ideas and a lot of possibilities that someone like Charles Soule can spin out, someone like Battle and Rue can spin out, so yeah. I think it's time for that. Also, I mean, has the conversation kind of, I don't want to say died out or gotten old, or the folks who the fandom menace is kind of left to their own corner, and those of us who are going to go to hopefully Celebration in 2 years will eat this novel up and eat the Rey film up, and
sure.
I hope that's true. So yeah,
I mean, I have confidence in that. I mean, what fandom menace person actually goes to sell it? Oh, maybe there's something.
But I mean, to Ash, to your point, I mean, I hope someone's like, oh, I don't know about this Rey, but okay, this makes it fit, everything fits so much better, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I'm excited for when sequel. I mean, look, I'm sure there are sequel era kids right now who are saying we're nuts for saying it all doesn't fit together right now. Yeah, I know those people exist. I mean, our friend Omar is definitely one of them.
Yeah,
he's our age.
True.
So yeah, those arguments are going to start coming in soon. And also, that's the third thing I want to kind of bring up. Sorry if I'm rambling a lot, but that's just I have so many thoughts on this. The third kind of reason to kind of add to Ash's point of waiting, a lot of those 12-year-olds who saw Force Awakens, they're probably 20. They're purchasing power, purchasing power is going to be on the rise. They're going to be able to buy Star Wars books independent of their parents. They probably can. They got jobs. So that the sequels nostalgia is coming. What happened with the prequels. Like I always say, never quite convinced that people turned around on the prequels so much as our generation just took over online spaces and discourse spaces.
Yeah.
And, I think that's going to start happening soon. But to add to one more thing to your point, Matthew, I think I've made this argument a couple of times how I've always seen the sequel trilogy as Leia's trilogy. If Anakin, Leia, and Luke are like the three Skywalkers, prequels is Anakin's, originals is Luke's. I always think that it was intended for Leia to be kind of like the prominent Skywalker of that trilogy, but because Carrie passed away and you couldn't do a lot with her, that kind of retroactively kind of makes it a little muddied. Because she was going to live in the first draft of Colin's version. She was going to be the one who actually lived out to rebuild the Republic. And, while Rey goes off and builds out the Jedi Order. So I do think kind of, again, emphasizing Leia. Because Leia is kind of the driving force of so much of what's going on. She wants to get... She gets Rey to Luke to get him back. She's the one who's running the Resistance. Even Palpatine kind of knows that Leia kind of screwed over his plans to possess Ben Solo. So I've always felt that this is another big reason why to emphasize it. Like, yeah, Leia is definitely kind of the big Skywalker of it all. And rightfully so, because I like it quite a lot.
Yeah, I mean, Padme's revenge in a way.
Yeah,
that's how I always see her. Yeah,
darn right. Darn right.
But
Yeah.
also kind of go back to one more point, and then I'll be quiet again.
Okay.
I thought the Rise of Skywalker novelization was already kind of smoothing over things, because that's where the whole Dathan the clone of Palpatine comes from. That's not in the movie, but definitely in the book, where they say, like, yeah, he's a genetic strand cast clone who doesn't have force powers, and Palpatine deemed his son. And then he fell in love with an actual lady and gave birth to Rey in the natural means, and then she had force powers. So that's where that comes from. He's a novel.
Dislike.
Fair.
You want
But I mean-
Palpatine to be a playboy? I mean, who doesn't love Reese's face? All right, who doesn't love the hood and the
what was this thing here?
Yeah.
Never mind. I mean, this getting me more hyped for this novel, and this quote about how there's a Snoke theory. I'll take that
Yes.
Snoke theory. This is getting me more hyped for this novel because
sorry.
yes, Joel, you can stay on the bottom now.
Okay, I was gonna
Relegate.
There we go.
perfect.
The quote about how Carrie Fisher's own books were inspiration for writing this novel, and just how Carrie Fisher and Leia are so intertwined. It seems to be what the point here. So having Carrie Fisher's own voice in a way coming through this novel, again, what this could do, this could really be a game changer for the sequel trilogy overall, and just the way it hangs together. I mean, I think it hangs together okay, but again, my hope, at least, is for a Plagueis type of smoothing over.
I don't think that's gonna happen. I think this book can be a little bit more limited in scope that way.
Not the same of like all the intricate inner workings, but I mean the characters, like with Leia and Rey
Definitely
diving in.
Definitely.
So no pressure, Madeline, but
I mean, I definitely think in terms of Leia and Rey, definitely.
Yeah.
I do want to hear those conversations, because with the little we get in the Rise of Skywalker novel, which you should definitely read if you want.
I do need to read
good.
it.
The comic was pretty good. The Jaws of Jakku little moment was really good. But again, it's little moments. It's those little moments. I want the whole book.
Fun times. I think gonna get to the end of the notes at least. Ash, do you have any further thoughts on kind of this sequel, Renaissance, reordering, whatever it is?
Retconning.
Not retconning, maybe moving ahead to the new films.
Recontextualization.
That is the word.
Yeah, it's just, you're getting a second bite at the apple, so make it a good one, because I want to like I don't want to be like, original trilogy folks who are like, those prequels, and I feel like I'm like, those sequels, except for these moments, not except for Force Awakens. I adore the Force Awakens, and I adore little pieces of lore, but like when I do my May the 4th marathon, when I'm getting to like the end of Last Jedi and I'm getting to Rise, I'm just like, I don't want to watch this.
Well,
and so I would like
so many films.
I would like to have more context to go, okay, this makes sense more because of X. And with that additional exposition, I can then enjoy the movies even more, kind of a la Clone Wars doing that for some folks for, the prequel trilogy, so I just give me a little more to hold on to, especially in Rise of Skywalker, but I'll always feel claustrophobic watching that movie regardless. Every shot is right here. Next, so like I'm gonna ruin the movie for some people, but like every single shot is like of someone's face. That's all the time. It's rarely panned out from like something very immediate happening. And I just sit there and I'm like, let me see more of the world. It's not just an establishing shot.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's
me those Exegol labs. I want to look at the Exegol laboratories.
Yeah. I mean, Joel, do you have any kind of last thoughts on this? I mean, I bet you're a resident sequelist, so.
I mean, I guess I kind of already feel like. I mean, maybe I just read. I mean, I don't know. I feel like I've already feel like the sequels make sense to me because of everything I read. But then again, maybe I just accept some of the stuff and Rise of Skywalker a little bit more. Like, yeah, Jason was a clone. He was just a non-genetic clone of Palpatine and being his son. All part and basically Palpatine's plan was I'm going to either possess Ben Solo or I'm going to possess Rey. I'm going to turn myself into Adam Driver or Daisy Ridley. Either way, I'm Palpatine. I'm going to win. Hooray. And it's like, no, I get to be my wrinkly self. Even better. Why? I don't know. Why wouldn't you want to be a Daisy Ridley or Adam Driver Palpatine, huh? Don't you want to? Sorry. But no, I mean, look, you know, I always say this. Nothing ever fixes the movies. You know, I kind of always hate the idea of Clone Wars saved the prequels because the prequels, like, hey, I like the prequels already. So they didn't need saving for me. But also, you know, it's like, you know, the movie's still the movie. If you don't like X, Y, and Z, be it, you know, the acting or the cinematography or whatever, the Clone Wars ain't going to change that for you. You know, and there's always the question of, like, is something so you're so fundamentally against it that it's sort of like nothing can truly fix it. Like, you know, you can give all the explanations you want about clones. If you don't like the fact Rey's related to Palpatine at all, that's not going to fix it. You can definitely make it make more sense, but it's definitely not going to fix it. But I do think when it comes to this particular book right here, this one, more than even the Legacy Vader stuff, is to me really hitting on something that I know a lot of people did like about Rise of Skywalker in that moment, and that is, of course, the Rey Leia dynamic of it all. And I just think a whole book about that is just chef kiss. That, regardless of how you feel about them even rebuilding the lightsaber, just kind of getting to know, like, what were they like as master and apprentice? And, you know, I definitely think Rey had a lot of reverence for Leia, especially by the end. And probably Luke. I think she got over his trolling. But definitely Leia. You know, I think I'm a big fan of that. And I've always loved the idea of Leia being both kind of the main character, maybe not the main character, but like kind of the Grand Master of the sequels in that kind of Gandalf way. And the definitely kind of even some ways Luke's legacy and even her own legacy. Like Leia's still not pulling the strings. That sounds good. Leia's still influencing the youth and the good in the galaxy for years to come. It's like one of my favorite lines in Rise of Skywalker, weirdly enough, is when Palpatine's talking to Pride because he's taken over, and Palpatine just goes like, "The Sith of Alderaan has disrupted my plans. Foolish act will be in vain." It's like, yeah, Leia's. You know, even though we can't have Leia versus Palpatine because Carrie's no longer with us, Leia's finally kicking Palpatine's butt. And I know if you ever read the Rise of Skywalker art of book, one of the big things they really wanted was to really emphasize that Leia was definitely the other from There Is Another in Empire Strikes Back.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of harkening back to the idea of, like, yeah, it would have been Luke and his sister defeating the Emperor together. I think in this way they're trying to emphasize that, and I like that moment.
Yeah.
So that's a long, rambly way of saying I'm excited for this book, and I hear a doggy.
Yes, is that Anakin in the background?
That is, in fact, Anakin.
There you go.
Mister, come here, touch.
There you go.
Hello, Anne.
Come here. He's being shy.
I mean, with Palpatine or Padme's revenge, definitely.
Yeah.
Well,
There we go. There's Anakin. There we go.
My cat's unfortunately on the chair. Otherwise, it's like, oh,
That's okay.
Yeah.
Doggy. Yeah. I mean, it won't fix. A book won't fix things, but it might change how we feel about it.
Right. Oh, definitely.
You know, and that's a big part of our engagement. I mean, that's a huge part of our engagement with any art. You know, that's what George Lucas was saying at San Diego. He was saying, you know, if you connect with something, great, stay a while. If you don't connect with it, you can move right along. And maybe this will help people reconnect with the sequels or help people connect more deeply. Who knows? But all that to say, this is a lot of work for one novel. So we'll see. I
will just say, I think putting all the work on this one novel is not a good idea because I don't think it's going to try. I think it's going to focus on this one aspect of Rey and Leia, and that's it.
No, yeah, there's definitely more.
I think you need multiple novels and.
Well, like we've talked about all these other books and comics that have already happened, right? So
give me Snoke book. Come on.
There we go.
Give me that.
A Snoke theory that doesn't suck. There we go. All right, I think we got there. I think that's about it. Ash, I'll give you the last word on everything New York Comic Con. Was it worth going? Anakin's still upset with me a whole year later.
Anakin. He didn't like being taken off the desk. Such an Anakin move.
There we go. So was it worth going? Is it worth coming back to next year?
Always.
Always. Yeah.
always. Though I've been going for 15 years. So yeah. And I mean, I guess I didn't go during COVID because it didn't exist. But other than those years, I've never missed. So I every year excited for the publishing panel, anything else that they throw at us. Usually there's at least something else Star Wars related, but even if not, it's always just the best, most hectic, excruciating, and the best way time that you can have.
I want to ask before you go, Ash, was there anything non-Star Wars that you really liked? From Marvel, DC, random?
Oh God, what did I do?
K-pop Demon Hunters at New York Comic Con.
Yeah, unfortunately there was not. I got to meet, so the Bob's Burgers just had the 300th episode, and I'm a big Bob's Burgers fan, so I got to meet the entire cast, but I was dressed as Rebels Ahsoka, and H. John Benjamin told me I look scary. So there's that.
Is that a good thing?
What was that?
Is that a good thing that you looked scary?
I think so. I don't know. But what's funny is like half of the cast was like, she's not scary, she's Ahsoka Tano. And then the other half of the cast, like H. John Benjamin, were like, I don't know what that means. And so then I got to give them a spiel on Ahsoka Tano. So I'm educating the masses.
Okay, well, they're both owned by Disney, so Ahsoka Tano in Bob's Burgers.
Hey.
Hell yeah. That's the crossover we need. Her and Louise need to go on some sort of crazy adventure.
Yes.
Yeah. It'd be great.
Fun times. All right. Well, I think that does it for our discussion. Great conversation. Everyone is putting down in the comments. Also down in the comments. Appreciate everyone chiming in on what they thought of all the releases, all the commentary at New York Comic Con, everything going on, what the state of comics and publishing and everything is right now. Ash, especially, thank you for coming on. Always good to see you. Good to chat with you. Where can they find you on the internet, especially to see your cosplays?
I always forget to put this in my little bio thing. But it is def.only.ashley, and that's on Instagram. So you can recognize me by all of the Ahsokas.
Yeah, and the link is in the notes below.
Perfect.
But I'll get that up there. There we go. Yeah, definitely do check that out. Definitely lots of great work there. Joel, thanks as always, being a resident sequelist, etc. Where can they find you on the internet?
You can find me at JID. I always forget my Blue Sky thing.
20234
on Blue Sky. JID 234 on Blue Sky, where I post sequel era stuff. That's what I do. Well, actually, I don't do that. I post random stuff too. And of course, I always do the Ion Canon and Blue Sky socials, where I also post sequel era stuff. Wherever I find sequel era lore, I post it. Oh yes, they are awesome.
Thank you.
Yes. There we go.
Yeah,
definitely. They're good.
And I'm also on the Star Wars Underworld Discord, where we also had chit chat about sequels, prequels, originals, and all sorts of fun stuff.
There we go. Yeah, definitely give both of them a follow. My personal Instagram, MNEUG1138. It's also Threads and Blue Sky. I guess I use Blue Sky a little bit. Twitter a little bit, NEUG485, and then Blue Sky also Iron Cannon and the Tractor Beam. Biscuit on social. Come back right here on Wednesday. We're catching up with Tides of Terror #2, Hunt for the Falcon #2, and Legacy of Vader #9. And then come right back here next week where Joel and I are talking about Legends characters we want in canon and Legends characters that have come in canon. How that's going? So check that out. 8:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Pacific next Monday. But until then, Ash, Joel, let's blow this thing and head home.